my sisters, only they can understand. We'll fight this war together, together we will stand.
Hey everybody, it's Joe, and thanks for tuning in to TVO Campfire. What this show's about is about successful veterans, and they're bringing you the stories and their experiences. And we hope that it can provide inspiration to each of you out there, or maybe a veteran that you know to help in their life.
Welcome to TVO Campfire. Today we have a guest who's really going to dazzle you because she's a United States Army veteran who's worked in the healthcare field as a program assistant for over a decade. She did that before deciding to pursue her bachelor's degree from St. Edward's in Austin, St. Edward's University. And she has a concentration in psychology, which is really exciting because she went on to pursue her master's in chaplaincy in seminary from Liberty University. She has her own business. She is a chaplain. Actually, she has a couple of businesses, which has made her very successful. And she's going to share some of those things with you today. I'm super excited to introduce to you United States Army veteran Tracy Galloway-Galpin.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Well, we're excited to have you. It's just amazing all of the things that you've been able to accomplish during your career in the Army as well as after. And so we're really delighted that you're going to be sharing that with all of us here and those that are listening and watching the show.
Okay.
Good morning, Tracy. Thanks for doing this. And what I like to jump into right off the bat is I want to go into one, kind of where you're born, where you grew up, and what was your fun as a child that you like to get into?
Okay, perfect. Well, I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois, and I actually am a sibling of a twin as well. So I grew up with a twin sister, and we're identical. And we just simply had fun, teasing family members and friends. And, we love the whole, twin thing per se. And we simply, enjoyed our time growing up together as well. We also, though we're both twins, we were also extremely shy. So it was amazing how after growing up in Illinois, we both wanted to attend college, but our parents at the time were not able to send us to college, even though we had, good grades and everything. We both needed a full ride. So we had a military gentleman attending our one of our class themes to, give us other avenues of reaching our college goals. And we both decided at that time that, after hearing his speech and sharing with us how we could actually earn college monies by just joining the armed services, we decided that was definitely something that we wanted to do, and to also help alleviate our parents from spending so much money. So that's exactly what we did. I joined the United States Army, and my twin sister, Stacy, she joined the Air Force, United States Air Force. And so that's kind of how we began our military service.
So how did you both decide to look into the military? Had you heard about it, or did you have the education portion through like recruiters at school, or did you have family members that were prior service?
That's a good question. So my dad, he also was prior military. He was a military veteran from the United States Navy. However, we also had his input, but then we also had the input of a military recruiter that was coming by our high school during that time. And so we just kind of took in the information, didn't seal it in stone just right off front. But then after really, really thinking about the benefits and the travel and the extra resources, we could not deny that, okay, this is something that we definitely should try. And so we did.
I like it. And your dad was a very smart man for choosing Navy, by the way. So.
Wait a minute. Well, my dad.
Yes.
Did you happen to have any type of perception about the military, that was leaning you away from it or drawing you to it first?
At first I did, to be honest with you, because you see the movies as a child, the angry drill sergeants or, people that had bad experiences. Last but not least, death, from, joining some, who paid the ultimate price. So those were some things there that really, laid heavy on my heart. But again, after talking to the recruiter and him kind of, tearing down some of those some of those fears, I should say, then that kind of gave me the assurance, as well as my sister also, that it would this would be something possibly that we would enjoy doing in our lives. So, and that's what we did.
Gotcha. With your sister going to the Air Force and you in the Army, what was it that really enticed you about the Army side of things?
Wow. Okay. To be bluntly honest with you, we were both planning to go to the Air Force. However, you have to score a certain score in order to be accepted at the Air Force. And so I was just a few points below. I think it was 50 at the time. You have to score at least a 50. And I think I had a 48. And so I told her, since we've been together all our lives, I said, you know what? This is it was my second time taking the test as well. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and go into the Army. And then, which was really difficult because we've always been together. And so, but I did. And, she, both, and her and I, that is, we both agreed that, okay, well, you let me know how the Army is, and I'll let you know how the Air Force was. And she actually did. She scored a 51 at the time. And so after me taking the test again for the second time, I decided, okay, you know what? I'm just going to go into the Army. I don't want to, keep, putting myself through this testing. I know I'm an intelligent woman. I'll select something that I think I'll have fun with learning, and then I'm going to go from there. And so we did. We just decided that we're going to have two separate journeys, and that's what we did.
I bet that was kind of hard, though.
It was.
Uh-huh.
It was.
So where did you end up going to your basic training, and what was your MOS?
Okay, perfect. Well, I went to Fort Jackson, South Carolina, was where I did my basic training. And then my MOS was 77 Lima, which now I understand that that particular MOS has changed since my time. But 77 Lima was a petroleum laboratory specialist. And so that's what I did. I was a person who tested fuel oils, lubricants, different types of oils to make sure that they were suitable to go to the prospective companies. So we do all our testing at a tank farm, and then we give the okay to the different companies that, okay, so this tanker here that's carrying this particular batch of oil or gasoline or JP4, yes, it is definitely suitable to go to your companies. And so that's what we do. We give the okay to make sure those oils and those JP4s and motor oils were suitable to go to the prospective companies.
I didn't even know that the Army had it. Oh, I wonder if they still do today.
I was thinking the same thing. If I didn't know they had that, and that would be kind of a good skill to have. You get to know about a lot of things that are going into your own vehicle nowadays, and so on and so
Absolutely.
forth. But Joe, I know you've got some more to say about this.
Yeah, I'm definitely intrigued. Like when you came in, you mentioned the low ASVAB scores that you had on it. So when you came in, did you get a choice, or did they just say like, here you go, here's the one thing that we need you to do?
Yes, I've got a variety of choices too. I think I maybe had about 7 to maybe 10 different job titles to select from. And I selected the petroleum because my family in California had oil in their property, and I decided to let me see what that's all about. And I was coerced, I should say coerced by my mom. She was instrumental in sharing with me that, you know what, that would probably be a good field because you could probably pursue that even after the military. And so that's why I did. That's why I did that.
That's good to hear. And so,
Mm-hmm.
when you were young, did you play sports or anything growing up that
Oh my God.
really helped you?
I was terrible at every sport. Basketball, softball, oh my gosh. My twin sister and I both, we were you know how you have that group of people that are the group of kiddos that are the last ones to be picked for the sport, to have a team member on your team. We were the last one. So we were very much not sportly inclined, to say the least.
Gotcha. But you did play though, so you definitely learned the teamwork concept way early. And
Yes, yes.
it baffled me how many folks I was around in my early part of the service that didn't have teamwork skills. I
Wow.
grew up kind of eat, sleeping, and breathing sports. So to me, the
Oh, wow.
teamwork concept was so simple, to
Okay.
the point to where for me boot camp was kind of a joke. Uh,
No.
but while you were in, was, for some people, boot camp is such a major change in their life, and for others it's just okay, temporary. How was boot camp for you?
For me, it was not too much of a major um, impact, for the exception of learning how to actually fire a weapon. Now, that was something that I had to develop the patience for. But the teamwork and being able to work together as a team, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed um, the buddy system. I really like that part about being in the military and actually being accountable, not just for myself, but for my buddies. So I really enjoyed that part about it. But yeah, basically learning how to fire a weapon. Let's see, another thing that would kind of got me all up in a rut was, I think it was map reading, learning how to read a map. Oh my gosh. Oh, but after learning those things and after mastering the art of my breathing on firing that weapon, oh my gosh, I felt so gratified with patriotism, because that was something I learned. That was something that I could accredit the military for teaching me, that skill, as far as protecting my country with my weapon, knowing where to go, how to get there with my compass, So those are some things. And then, like I said, that buddy system, oh my gosh, I'll never, that even today helps me, even in business now, being careful to remember my partners.
I think what you're sharing about patriotism is something that until you have gone in the military, you do not understand that depth of how patriotic that we are. I know for me, anytime I'm at an event and we've got the Pledge of Allegiance or we've got one of the branches of service music, or I just am the Star Spangled Banner. I am choking. I'm standing there choking up, trying to hold back, keep my bearing, as we would say in the military, because it's just so, it's evoking such emotion like you were talking about. But I want to ask you, Tracy, when you were talking about map reading, did your land navigation, did they take you all out into the middle of nowhere and say, okay, you know what I'm talking about? So they must have, because you're laughing.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. But once I learned, let me tell you this, Rebecca, once I learned, how to correctly read my compass, how to correctly read a map, it made it so much easier. So I just breezed through it when I had my testing time. At the end of your training, there's a testing time that we have to go over all those skills, what we've learned in those 14 weeks. And so, oh my gosh, I was on it. And I'm needless to say, I got 100 on everything. Push-ups, setups, map reading, firing my weapon, and, just going through the whole training part. I was so grateful. That little book that we had, I forget what it's called now, but it actually had the answers to, how to, properly read a map, how to, read that compass, how to, the breathing technique with that butt of that M16 in that cuff of your arm. So it had different things that we could read at night. And that was the time that I would have to be alone to just kind of get those things and kind of commit them to memory so that I could execute them properly. And so that was magic there. That was magic.
You had mentioned like you really like to be, in there with your buddies and stuff, getting and learning, meeting those new people. Do you still have people today that you're still close with or still in contact with, maybe even work with, all the way back from boot camp and like AIT?
I wish I did. So I lost contact with all of my friends from basic training. I just recently joined a basic training group on Facebook for Fort Jackson, South Carolina Basic Training Command. So I'm networked there, but my actual class, the actual buddies that I had in my unit, no, I have not. We have, and that's the thing about the military. You go all over the world, some went to Germany, some went to Korea, which I went to Korea once upon a time myself, but you lose connections in the moves from time to time. And that's exactly what happened.
So you did a tour in Korea, and how long were you in total, Tracy?
Okay, so I was, I did 4 years active Army, and then I did 3.5 years in the National Guard, Texas National Guard.
Where all did you actually get to live throughout your time?
Okay, so I went to, after basic training at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, I went to Fort Lee, Virginia. And from Fort Lee, Virginia, I went to Fort Hood, Texas. And from Fort Hood, Texas, I went to Korea. I was at Camp Mobile, Korea. And then from Korea, Camp Mobile, Korea, I went to, Fort Lewis, Washington. And then from Fort Lewis, Washington, I got married. And so we went to Fitzsimmons because my husband was in the nursing program there. And so from Fitzsimmons, then we went back to, well, actually, let me go back. So I got out after Fort Lewis, got married, and we went to Fitzsimmons, from Fitzsimmons to back to Fort Hood. And then here in Fort Hood is where we remained.
It sounds like fun.
I enjoyed Fort Hood. Fort Hood was one of my best duty stations. I think Camp Mobile, Korea was my second best. So.
Really? You're one of the first ones I've ever heard saying that the hood was the best out of all. Because usually when I hear Army people talk about Fort Hood, it's like, oh man, the hood. Oh no. But,
it was. I mean, yeah, I met a lot of great people here in Texas. So I really, really never will forget the friendships, that
Well,
I
of
had.
course, if you weren't here, I wouldn't have met you, and and we have developed such a really tight relationship, and I absolutely love and appreciate it very, very much. You have been such an influence. It's exciting to hear some of the things I didn't know, and as much as you and I talk, and this is what it is about, being around the campfire. Is when you're around other veterans, you get to talk about things that come out maybe you've forgotten about, or
Right.
you didn't place as much importance on it with what we're currently doing. And yet what you mentioned, which it seems like time and time I hear, a lot of veterans don't stay in touch with people that they were stationed with, but yet those were the most in-depth relationships, because we had each other's backs, that you can develop. So it's really interesting to hear that. And so you stayed here at Fort Hood, and you mentioned that you were able to get a full ride going into the military for education. So were you able to use your GI Bill benefits?
Yes, I was. I was able to.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were still talking. I do apologize. But yes, I was able to use the GI Bill. I also, after coming out of the military, I was able to utilize what's called a voc rehab. I think it's still called that. I'm not sure. But I used the voc rehab. And then by the time I finished that, I had exhausted all of my funds for military. And I actually ended up using government assistance to assist with my master's program for chaplaincy.
how long did that take you once you, as far as getting that chaplaincy?
Right. So it's a 3-year program. And so I think I did it in about 4 because, working and going to school. By this time, I'm actually with 3 kiddos and divorced. Divorced and remarried. And like I said, 3 kiddos, which is definitely a balancing act, balancing school and working and, helping those kids. And so it was a balancing act. So eventually I finished in 4 years as opposed to 3.
And so once you determined, hey, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and separate and I'm going to start focusing on my life outside the military, what was some of the key factors that said, you know what, I'm done. I'm ready to work on me now and what I'm going to do?
Yes. So after the military, because of that patriotism that I've already learned and gained, I should say, from being in the military, I always, upon my separation, I always wanted to be able to work for other veterans. And so that started my journey at the Department of Veteran Affairs in Austin, Texas. And I worked there for 11 years before going full time into my bachelor's program. And then decided to continue working on me per se. I mean, I enjoyed what I did, but as you know, I was working in the fuel industry, but as a program assistant, that's definitely not fuel, right? So there were no jobs like I thought there would be for that particular MOS that I so willingly enjoyed and learned how to work, but I just had to, go ahead and do what I could do. So I wanted to serve, I wanted to work with the veterans. And so I became a program assistant instead. And I did that for almost 11 years.
Wow.
And
So
yeah.
were you doing it because like 11 years, were you in it going, hey, look, this right here, this is my long term. This is what I want to do in life. I love this. I love that. Or was it just, hey, this is what I have to do to get to the next step somewhere else?
Wow. No, so I always saw it as a continuation of my service to my country. So even though I no longer had those greens on, that uniform, being able to work with other veterans, that was another way that I could continue my service. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do that long term. And so henceforth, regardless whether I was working as a petroleum specialist or not, I knew I wanted to serve God's people through serving the military.
I absolutely love that, Tracy. I think that is so neat because this area, being veteran, and well, as you know, it's really important. There's so many needed things emotionally, mentally, from different
Mhm.
things that have happened to many veterans. And so I think what you have chosen to do and that you've dedicated your life to do is just absolutely honorable. I'm wondering too, and maybe both of you know this, and I just don't, but if you do say 8 years in the Army or whatever branch, and then you work for the VA, does that count towards your retirement or a federal retirement?
I believe, yes, it does. So when you have to buy back into that program to do so, and which I did not do at the time. So, but I prefer to just continue on the route that I'm going right now.
And when you did transition out, Tracy, how was the help? Meaning like the support. How much help did the Army actually give / do for you on that separation to help get you prepared for civilian life now?
It wasn't a lot. I wish I could say, I had a whole lot of help from this particular, which, and maybe that was because that's all that they could do. And basically what they did for me was network with me. I forget the name of the organization, but there's a out processing that you go through after, coming up on what's called the ETS. You go through out processing, and they either put you in on a track to kind of, get you enrolled in school if that's what you want to do. But there was no, at that time when I was coming out, there was no, okay, we're going to take the skills that you do have, even though they're predominantly petroleum, we're going to try to see if we can put you into these particular jobs. This is the job bank. So I wish we had that when I was coming out, a job bank, as opposed to just, having at it, going out there and looking for employment on my own, so that was one of the things I wish that was in place for me, where, I could have continued my service, not just with working at the Department of Veteran Affairs, which I found myself, but also had those particular venues, government agencies, to come say, hey, you know what, we're going to, see if we can transfer you to further your government service into these other avenues that are here in the area that are hiring. So wish we'd had that when I got out. So I'm not sure if they have that now, but I know when I got out, it was not available.
So there's a lot of traditions in the different branches. And I remember seeing something, I never did this myself, but you can remember possibly when people would say, okay, I've got 3 days in a wake up, or 2 days in a wake up.
Uh-huh.
And then on the wake up day, off they go, and the next thing you know, you see a pair of boots hanging over the electrical wires. Did any of you, or either of you, throw your boots over
Yes.
the wires?
Oh my gosh. I remember that. Now, I didn't actually do that, but I do recall those, that countdown, 20 days in a wake up, So yes, I remember that. And what I did was basically, I sold my uniforms. So I didn't actually throw them over the pole, or my boots over the pole, or anything, but I actually sold my uniforms to a concession store.
That's comedy. That's comical. It really is. It amazes me, hearing obviously what I went through, but like hearing what Rebecca went through, hearing what you went through, and a lot of the other guests that come on our show, that how much of a varied experience it was on the separations. But the common denominator out of all of this, it amazes me at how many hundreds of thousands, and in some cases, like especially on our pilot side of the house, how many millions of dollars are pumped into sending our war fighters to war. But then on the back side of it is how much is spent on sending you back home.
All right.
Very, 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 very little
Absolutely.
is spent on sending you home. And when I say that, I mean, they'll train you up to go to war. But do they ever train you to go back home?
Mm-mm.
Joe, you have
amazing.
a good point. And I say that because I don't know where all of the veterans are on different scales, but everything that Tracy talked about earlier about the patriotism and all of the skills that we have learned and been equipped with, I know that we carry on that to other people, including our own children. And how many of us are generationally part of the veterans line, the lineage? And yet, Joe, with what you're talking about, they should invest those things so that we continue to really advocate people enlisting.
Yes, absolutely.
Tracy, how long did it actually take you before, once you separated, before you were like full-time hired?
Wow. So it took, I'm thinking, because it didn't actually come all at once. Like I said, I had to seek out that government job. But so I started out, I think I was working at Dairy Queen and different places, because there's, you have to go back to work, but you don't have, I should say this, when you don't have the job that you're looking for, most of us veterans, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and get a job and then just go back to school, right? So that's exactly what I did. I just went ahead and got plugged in somewhere, and I think I was a Dairy Queen for a spell of a moment until I got hired at the Department of Veteran Affairs.
I'm just glad that you were actually to go through and say, you know what, I want to do basically it's petroleum engineering. Really, that from what it sounds, that's exactly what you're doing. Cool. I want to go through and do petroleum engineering. When you got out, you were able to adapt to what was available to you and get into it. So I'm very proud and glad to hear that for you, because that petroleum engineering industry, I may know a few things about it. Just growing up being a kid from Odessa.
Okay. Yes.
I
Yes.
might have tasted my fair share of petroleum growing up in the world. So, but
I tell you.
I love hearing that though, because that is a common denominator amongst successful people that we've talked to already. Is straight up, you have to adapt. You have to be able and willing to change and open-minded, and you have to bring in mentorship, right?
Absolutely.
And that is one of the key things that I love about what Rebecca and I are doing back through our organization as well. It's all about the personal or the professional growth. Sometimes it's both of our veterans. And you're a key reason why we do this show, is to sit there and show people, look, here's how she was successful post-military career. So tremendous way of hearing that. And I'm glad that it happened for you. When you transitioned out and you got into the role that you're doing now, please tell us a little bit more kind of in depth through what you are doing now.
Great. So again, I was can you still hear me? Oh, okay. So my camera just stopped. Okay. So what happened, I was working at the Department of Veteran Affairs, and then there was a chaplain visiting our clinic one day just to, talk to the workers to see how things were going, and to find out if there was anything that he could do, anything that he could pray for or direct us to services. And it reminded me when I was in Korea, and the chaplain would come by and visit. And I was like, oh my gosh. I remember saying one day after a chaplain, where our chaplain had visited us in Korea, that I would love the opportunity to serve God's people in the act of becoming a chaplain and helping people in that capacity. And so it just triggered something when he came by. It was a different scenario, different chaplain coming to meet with us workers there at the Department of Veteran Affairs in Austin. I said, oh my gosh. So when he got there and he got the opportunity to talk to me, that is when I asked him about, becoming a chaplain. What's the criteria? What's the schooling like? What I need to do, because this is something that I really believe I would like to do also. And so at that time, he shared with me just how it's my son. I'm actually doing an interview. This is my son, David. He's doing a photo bomb with me. I actually got the information that I needed from him to actually pursue the role of becoming a chaplain. And so that's exactly what I did. And henceforth, I became a chaplain, served I guess, let's see, a little bit over 10 years now as a chaplain, and I continue to serve with my local church here in Georgetown, Texas, at Celebration Church, and just simply love what I do as a chaplain.
In your life right now, do you feel that, you know what, I've made it? I'm a success.
I believe so. I can honestly say, success to me is, being able to do what you want when you want, and being able to empower and influence others to do the same. And so that's exactly what I'm doing. So I thank God for this opportunity and this platform that I dare not take lightly, but I'm thankful I'm able to do and do what I want at this time in my life.
Absolutely. I was glad to hear that.
Mhm.
With what you're doing now, do you feel that the military, the culture, I'll go back a little. Do you feel that the culture of the military at the time that you served, do you think it helped what you're doing now?
Heck yeah. Yes, yes. One of the things that always stuck with me, and this is stuck with me from my time being in basic training, one of the things that my drill sergeant would say to me when I was Private Galloway, he'd say to me, always forward, soldier, always forward. And that really didn't stick with me until after basic training. He said it to me again. And I asked him, so what when you say that, what does that mean? He says, whatever you go through in life, just like with this basic, you got through it, didn't you? You stayed forward. And he said, in life, you're gonna have to remember, always forward, stay forward. You're gonna go through some things, but keep moving, Private Galloway. And that's exactly what I've done. I kept moving in spite of the divorce, in spite of different things that has come up against me in my life. I've kept moving. And that's it. Yes, my military career, yes, definitely. Definitely. I can honestly say is on point for helping me to stay forward in life.
That's awesome. I love to hear that stuff for sure. For sure. If
Yeah.
you were to, so there with your son photobombing you earlier while you were talking, is for those youngsters that are out there, and even yeah, well, we'll start with the youngsters. For the youngsters that may see this, because I know a lot of parents of kids who are on active duty watch this, what we're doing to try to help their kids say, hey, here's how you actually need to start preparing for your civilian life, while you're still on active. What's some of the advice that you would give now that you have that privilege of going, been there, done that, got the t-shirt, sold my boots, in your case,
Yes,
sold your boots, right? What is
yes. So the whole
what's some
uniform,
of
yes.
that priceless information would you love to give back to those youngsters?
Yes, yes. So I like to give the advice of, like I just mentioned about moving forward, but then also paying attention for that young soldier that is aspiring to join the armed services. Pay attention to what the drill sergeant is saying, or whoever might be instructing them, whether they, in the military setting or in a college setting. Pay attention to what is said, you know, and because sometimes we get caught up on what if the person doesn't say it just right, or if uh, the person that is stepping on your toes, you tend not to want to receive the instructions. So what I would say, whoever is in the place of authority that's giving instruction, Pay attention to that, listen and learn. Okay. And then eventually, as time goes on, you'll be able to share those same tools that you've learned from someone to someone else, and you get to pass it on. So that's what I like to say. You get to pass it on.
It's interesting that you share that, because when you look back from where you're at right now and you think about all the people that have made an impact on you, that has shaped where you're at now or allowed you to develop things further, do you think, I know for me, when I look back and I think about teachers or the drill instructors, the people who were what I perceived at the time most harsh on me, those are the ones that most significantly influenced how positive and how I was able to achieve things that I don't think that I would have achieved had I not learned those things from them specifically. Do you feel the same way?
I do. I do. Sometimes and that's what I was sharing too about, there's a term that says, don't shoot the messenger, right? So being able to just receive from everyone, you know, because there's always something in a message that we can utilize. I like to use the term, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater term, because it's always something that you can learn, from that. Always something, and then you want to be able to, and that's the key, being able to take that information and utilize it to better yourself. Okay. That's the key. Being able to take that information, that wisdom from someone else, and being able to utilize it in the time that you need to utilize it in. That's awesome, right there. That's gonna definitely be a blessing to an individual in the future, for future families, legacy, being able to take information and utilize it appropriately is going to do well. It's going to do you well, I should say.
Well, you talked about mentorship while you were in the Army, and now you do exactly that on the outside in addition to your chaplaincy. Talk about, if you'd like, to share with us about your businesses.
Oh, perfect, perfect, perfect. Well, I am a Marykay beauty consultant and a paparazzi jewelry consultant. So, oh my gosh, I love, love, love being able to see women and men transform their outer appearances. So whether it be through skincare, because we're a skincare company with Marykay. Yes, we do, makeovers and so forth, but it's mainly a skincare company. So if they've got flaws or things that they're wanting to change because of life events and different things that our bodies go through just by being in the environment, I love, being able to coach a young lady or a teenager uh, through that journey of puberty and, seeing their skin transform back into the way they were wanting it to look is a great blessing. So I enjoy helping those who are really, really seriously looking for better ways to care for themselves, the outward appearance. Yeah. So,
Tracy,
and
right now, is there anybody that you happen to volunteer with?
yes. Okay. So I do volunteer work with my church, my local church. I'm a part of Celebration Church, where my husband and we are both known as Christian coaches. So we do coach individuals from our church that maybe need help in marriage counseling or stress management or just going through a tough time, emotionally, especially right now during this pandemic. So we still do interviews now, but we mainly do our interviews through Zoom because of the pandemic and having to social distance. So, but yeah, that's what I do as a volunteer with my church.
All right. And if we have veterans who are out there and they they want to step into the world of being a chaplain, what's the advice that you would give to them?
Wow, wow, wow. Um, one advice, one main key point I would say for him or her is to just, make sure you pray about it and see if this is something that you want to do. This is not just something that you do, but you definitely want to feel led to, or I should say called to, helping others in this capacity. And then seek out chaplains in your area. So they are at your local hospitals, they are at hospice agencies, and your local church for those who have, uh, denominational churches. Mainly, there'll definitely be some chaplains in there to give you the assistance as far as the educational track, what you should pursue in becoming a chaplain.
That's great. Thanks for sharing, coming out with us today and doing this. It's neat, very neat to see a different side of success on our show with what you're doing through the religious channel as well as your beliefs.
Thank
That right there, and that just you touched on it throughout the interview, the continued service, and
Yes, thank
it's
you.
neat. It's very neat seeing how somebody came from up north in Chicago, landed in Texas, and was like, "Wow, beautiful! I,
Yeah.
I'm staying." So, so
I
that
know
that's
it's much warmer here as well, so much
We're
warmer.
good. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
uh,
Oh, but I'm so
def,
so grateful to be in this place. I tell you, it's a safe place, no doubt. Uh, where I am today.
awesome. But thank you for doing this. Very proud of you and what you're doing. And this is the point where Rebecca gets to close out the show. And
Okay.
anything, Tracy, that you want to say before she closes out, please do. I mean, this is all about you and your time and us highlighting you. So thank you for everything
Yeah,
that you've done.
thank you. Just I thank God for Rebecca giving me the opportunity to share my journey, and I really do appreciate this platform to share it in as well to help other veterans. What a blessing.
Thank you so much, Tracy. We do appreciate you coming on and definitely talking about all of the things, the experiences, the things that have made you learn things along the way and allowed you to be equipped with things to continue to help people now. And that is so much admired and so much needed. And I know for us here, we just thank you so much. And I know those that are listening are going to value the things that you shared as well. And we definitely want them to connect with you. We'll put all of your connections
Thank you.
attached with this as well.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the service of you and your staff there as well. Thank you so much for having me again.
We just love you. So thank you. And we want to thank all of you for tuning in to another episode of TVO Campfire. We ask that you share this with veterans that you know. We hope that you are able to get as much value and resources as we can get out to you in each episode. So share the episode with your friends, your family. You don't know who's connected to who's going into the military and who may need help from their military service. So make sure to get this out on social media and everywhere else that you can think of. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you. God bless you.
Well, we're veterans, so we spend a lot of time in mental health.
Thanks for telling me.
That's part of it, right? And we also teach a class called now it's called Rec for Heroes. It's a guitar class at the VA, Fort Worth VA, and I've been teaching now for 5 years, and Ron has been helping me teach the disabled vets up there. And so I got to thinking, you know what? The song is essentially 3 minutes with your therapist. Right? I mean, it can make you up, make you down, whatever. So I wrote a little bit about it, and Ron is like, yeah, let's finish that sucker.
Yeah, we sit down and
It's called 3 minutes session.
And we finished it in a thunderstorm.
Yeah, that's right. Give me a 3-minute session with my favorite Haggard song. Warm summer evening and the rumble of a storm. Find my direction, way to heal my wrongs. With a 3-minute session in the form of a country song. Now therapists, they tried their best an hour to work on you. Ask you questions, search for answers, take away your blues. I ain't saying that they don't help. One thing I know is true. One quick way to brighten my day is listen to my favorite tune. Give me a 3-minute session with my favorite wailing song. Warm summer evening and the rumble of a storm. Find my direction, way to heal my wrongs. With a 3-minute session in the form of a country song. Loretta, Dolly, and me, Lou, seem to tell it right. If you need a cure for your working blues, just listen to some 95. 2 more bottles of wine and I'm feeling fine. Takes the fight right out of me. I can find a cure for all my ills, and I don't mean to go to this city. Give me a 3-minute session with my favorite Patsy song. Warm summer evening and the rumble of a storm. Find my direction, way to heal my wrongs. With a 3-minute session in the form of a country song. Give me a 3-minute session with my favorite bowling song. A warm summer evening and the rumble of a storm. Find my direction, way to heal my wrongs. With a 3-minute session in the form of a country song. Find my direction, way to heal my wrongs. With a 3-minute session in the form of a country song.